Welcome back, Double Leg Premium members. It is time for the Double Leg Premium exclusive show, UFC 292. We're going to go through our bets and give you a little bit of an explanation of why we are placing these bets, and you can get behind them, get a little bit more confident because I know you guys want a little bit of explanation. We do have the write ups in the folder done by Nolan. Props to him for that. Those are always great. So if you don't want to watch this video, there's some write-ups there, but these are the explanations for the bets specifically. We're going to start it off with the main event. Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling. What you got on the main event?
Yeah, so on the main event, I wanted to get the Sean O'Malley on the money line really bad, but at the end of the day, some of these fights you just want to sit back and enjoy with not too much on the line, and that's what I'm doing here. I really want to enjoy this one, and I just couldn't get the Sean just for the grappling aspect and how Sterling looked really good. Looked like he had a phenomenal camp and weight cut. So I did sprinkle on Sterling submission round 4 at plus 1900 for a tenth of a unit, and Sterling submission round 5 for a tenth of a unit at plus 2800. And the reason being is I know it's a 5 round fight, and Sean's probably going to fight a little bit different than he did against Piotr Jan. But I look at that fight, and I think if Aljo is the one in there with him, and that fight's going to the 4th and 5th, Sean was a little tired and he's going to have to keep up with the grappling pace. So if this fight gets past the 3rd round, I think that's when Aljo is going to start fighting his game a little bit easier and put Sean in positions to maybe get a finish. So that's the only thing I got on it, though.
Wow, that's not going to happen because he's going to not come out first round.
Hey, I hope so. Honestly, man, I wouldn't mind at all. I'll lose the 0.2 units for that for sure.
No, I mean that is definitely a possibility. I've been vocal about Sean O'Malley taking it this week, but at the end of the day, you're going up against a champion who is like he's been very good and he's good everywhere the fight goes, but this is a striker versus grappler battle. It is as clear as day as it gets. And so I'll explain why I'm taking Sean O'Malley at plus 234 for a unit. I'm not going to go too hard on him because the experience level for Aljo is through the roof. The ground game is going to be a lot better. Sean, I do think, has him outmatched in the striking by, I don't want to say a long shot, but it's just so much crisper. So it's going to be so much better in round 1, round 2, and maybe even round 3. He's going to be so fast, so much more powerful. Aljo leaves a lot of openings. So a striker versus grappler battle, whichever way you're going to take it, I want to take the dog because I look at it, it's like, okay, there's a clear aspect of the game where this guy is better. Could he use that to get the win? Absolutely. Could he lose based off the grappling? Absolutely. Sean O'Malley's the dog, so I'm going to take him at plus 234 for a unit because I do think he's going to be able to piece him up on the feet if the fight stays there. And Aljo, every fight starts on the feet, so Aljo's eventually going to have to take him down. That's my explanation for that. Co-main event, Amanda Lemos and Zhang Wei Li. What you got on that one?
Yeah, I tried to get the Lemos all week. I really did, but I think Wei Li can survive the first few rounds, and she's dangerous as well. And as it goes on, I think Lemos is going to be a little bit vulnerable to Wei Li's endurance and cardio and power she holds throughout the whole durations of fights. So I took Wei Li by KO or sub at minus 155 for 1.55 units because I don't think this thing is going the distance. And I also sprinkled on Wei Li sub at plus 450 for a quarter of a unit. So if she wins that by finish and it's a submission, we're ending the night on my end pretty well. And Lemos could definitely find the early KO. I think Wei Li, regardless of her losses to Rose, is super, super good. And she's another one who's just die hard, lives, eat, breathes this game, and has probably been getting better. So yeah, I had to take her. I had to stick with her. The Magnum.
Can't blame you. I do think Wei Li is super good. I love her game. She's very well rounded. I think she'll be the more well rounded fighter in this fight. But I do think Lamos's ability to finish the fight scares me too much. That's why I'm not betting her. So I'm also ultimately taking Amanda Lemos inside the distance just for a sprinkle of 0.15 units at plus 325. this is women's MMA. We've seen crazier things. I mean, we literally saw Rose Namajunas, not the biggest power puncher, go out there and knock her out of the first round. Like Amanda Lemos has some of the best power at 115. She's going to be very live for a finish at any point in time in the fight, especially early, even with the submission as well. I do expect Zhang Wei Li to go and try to take the fight to the ground and, kind of limit that explosiveness off the jump. So I would expect her to take her down in the first round of the fight. So I do think Wei Li gets higher than 1.5 takedowns. That was an underdog play. I would expect her to probably hit that in the first round, honestly, because Lemos should be explosive enough to get back to her feet if Wei Li does take her down. I like her to go higher than 1.5 takedowns there. And then I also took this earlier in the week, lower than a half knockout for Zhang Wei Li. I don't think she knocks Amanda Lemos out. If she does get a finish, I think it's probably a submission because Amanda Lemos, I want to favor her power on the feet to Zhang Wei Li. I don't think Wei Li's going to want to stand and bang with her. So I think she goes for the takedowns. If you even look at just Wei Li's finishes in the UFC, she's only got 2 knockouts in the UFC. Like she's not knocking girls clean out. So yeah, that's just what I had to go with there. I believe that's everything I have for that fight. Not too overly invested because ultimately Whaley's pretty sizable favorite. I didn't want to lay the chalk on her there.
Yeah.
Magny and Ian Machado Gary. What you got on that one?
Oh yeah, we're loaded up on this one. If Ian Gary pulls off a submission, I'm gonna be so hype. And I took him for a tenth of a unit by submission in each round. So round 1 sub at plus 1100, round 2 plus 1700, and round 3 plus 3400. And I also took this fight under 2.5 rounds. I just think on short notice, this is a bad matchup for Neil Magny. I don't think Neil's going to be able to control him like people think he might be able to do up against the cage. I think Ian Gary's got a good gas tank. He's dangerous all 3 rounds, and he's athletic as shit and pretty strong. Like he's going to be Neil Magny controls guys when he's a little taller and bigger and has that leverage. Ian Gary's the same size and same build and just a little thicker and stronger. So yeah, I think he finishes this fight. I'm hoping for a round 1 sub. We just get the hell out of there, cash some tickets. But yeah, I think he's a lot better than Magny at this, especially with Magny being 36.
Yeah, I just don't see a spot where Magny is better at this point. I mean, he's like you said, Magny uses his size a lot. Ian Gary is damn near bigger than him. So I don't expect him to be able to have his way with him as far as the physicality goes. I think Ian Gary on the feet, he's going to be a lot faster. He's going to be a lot sharper, hit a lot harder. Magny's looked fairly slow on the feet as of recently. And, I like the sub prop as well. I also got round 1 sub for Ian Gary plus 1100, 0.1 units. Round 2 sub for Ian Gary plus 1700 for 0.1 units. And I also took Ian Gary inside the distance at minus 150 for 1.5 units. He has promised a finish. If he does not come through with that promise, I'm going to be pretty pissed because he's like a minus 500 favorite now, swelling to that. If he doesn't get a finish, I am going to be very pissed at Ian Gary because he has made a big promise and I'm going with him there. Also got him on the money line in a parlay with the under 2.5 rounds of Petrosky and Gerald Mearshart at minus 121 for 1.21 units. So trying to steal one there. And then the underdog play lower than 64.5 significant strikes. That has been steamed down to, I believe, 57.5 significant strikes because they just love to move our lines once get it out to everybody. But that's what I'm taking there. I think Magny, that's it. I mean, his game plan is literally to, hold you. So he's not going to be able to rack up significant strikes that way. And then if Ian Gary can get a finish early on, I don't think he hits the higher than there. So I like that. We'll keep her moving with Batista and Blackshear. What you got on that one?
Yeah. Well, I do not have a single bet on this fight, and it just kind of scared me off of it completely with it being 7 days notice for Damon Blackshear. But I will be hooping and hollering for Damon Blackshear. That's my guy. I'm a big fan. Just the way he's just taken this fight on 7 days notice. is crazy, and I think he's really good. But Batista is a savage as well, so it's going to be a phenomenal fight, I think.
Yeah, both guys have been pretty impressive as of recently. But I had to go with the dog, Damon Blackshear, plus 199 on Bet Openly at half a unit because I just think this is a little wide for a line. I understand the hesitancy with the 7 days notice, but I mean he was just in a fight camp. It's going to be tough to turn around and win as an underdog. But Batista's previous wins don't
Yeah,
the opponents just don't look that great. So I'm looking at this like, all right, 3 straight first round finishes. It's probably going to be a little bit overvalued, especially with Blackshear coming in here on 7 days notice. I think it's worth a shot on the dog because Blackshear has some insane skills on the ground. And he really just, throughout his UFC career, like he hasn't looked bad at like any certain moment. Like I look at that Fareed Basharat fight, like, Fareed Basharat could probably hang with Mario Batista, and Damon Blackshear was a big underdog in that one. And he looked really good as far as,
yeah.
hanging in there. Like he made it a close fight. So I think he can make it a close fight in this one too. Will it cash? We will see. But I do think he is worth a shot at, plus 180, plus 200 around there. So I had to take it. The main card opener, Marlon Chito Vera and Pedro Munoz. What you got on that one?
All right, I'm going to catch some slack for this one, but I'm on Pedro Munoz money line at plus 160, and just for 0.6 units. So the two, I'll get to the other underdog later, but man, I watched Chito Vera, and I'm a fan of the guy as a person, as a fighter, even. But I honestly think he's losing every single fight until he finds a big knockout shot. He gets behind on the scorecards, the pace, everything. He's just kind of waiting and downloading data. And against Pedro Munoz, who's going to throw a ton of leg kicks, he's going to throw a ton of combinations and just jab at you. I think he's going to steal the first round. And then from there, you're in a 50-50 fight because Pedro Munoz has never been finished in the UFC. Chito Vera, relies on that finish. And, if he can't finish Pedro, this is going to come down to the wire. And if at plus 160, if I can get this thing to go to a decision in a close fight, then we've done our job at taking a good value bet. And then the other thing is when I watched the face-offs, I was worried that Pedro is going to be way smaller, but they were kind of eye level. Like it's not a big size discrepancy here, which made me feel good. Made me feel like Pedro can reach those legs with the kicks. He's just going to have to avoid those big power shots. But we've seen him get cracked before and stay in fights and come back and win. He does have some losses on his record, but he's fighting some of the top guys. So I think this is going to be a lot closer of a fight than people think. And I think there's a lot of, popularity bias on Chito Vera. So I'm going to stick with Pedro here.
Yeah, it's never bad to fade a fan favorite with Chito Vera, and I'm really pissed I didn't fade him last time against Corey Sandhagen because that was just a terrible performance. It seems like he's coming into this one. I would hope he learned from that, that performance. We will see, but I gotta go based off of like what we've been seeing, and what we've been seeing is slow starts, and he kind of needs a finish, especially in a 3-round fight, or at least he's got to really turn it up those last 2 rounds. So I didn't want to fade him too hard, but I did take Pedro Munoz by decision at plus 225 for 0.4 units. I think Cheeto's the better mixed martial artist. I just don't think, like, I just can't take him at the chalk. So I mean, it's super juiced to go to a decision, and if it does go to a decision, Munoz has statistically proven that like he gets the decision from the judges more often than Chito Vera does. So, and Cheetos does not do well with 3-round decisions. So I think it's just a value play at that point. I hate fading a Cheeto. That's my guy too, but
look at Pedro's last fight against Chris Gutierrez. I mean, if you put Chris Gutierrez and Cheeto in a octagon, I think it's a pretty close fight. Yeah. And Pedro whooped his ass. I mean, we were there live, knocked him down in the first round, and just beat him. So I think Pedro's got a good shot.
Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares. The only thing I got on this one, or actually I got 2 plays on this one. I got the fight to go the distance at plus 105 for a half a unit. I lied. I actually got 3 things on this one. I got the fight to go the distance at plus 105 for a half unit. And then I also got the over 1.5 in this fight in a parlay with the under 1.5 of Gregory Rodriguez and Dennis Tululin, plus 131 for a unit there. And then I also like the higher than 39.5 significant strikes for Brad Tavares because, if I like the fight to go the distance, I think he hits him 40 or more times because Weidman probably going to be a little bit slower, older. It's going to be easier to hit. Brad Tavares doesn't hit like some kind of truck. So I think he can rack that up pretty easily. Like I said, Tavares doesn't hit like a truck. Weidman, older. He hasn't been this decision machine throughout his career, but Brad Tavares certainly has. I expect him to come out here not like guns blazing. So I kind of like this fight to go a lot longer than it should. What you got?
Yeah, I'm the same way. The only play I have on this fight, I got Tavares in a parlay, but Tavares Weidman over 2.5 rounds for 1 unit. And yeah, same stuff you said. Tavares isn't like cracking people and dropping people and putting them out cold, but he's a good striker. I think he's going to win a lot of the rounds on the feet. Weidman being older, coming off of an injury that had a long layoff with it, would make me nervous to take him here. And I don't think he's going to come out and hit Tavares with shots that are going to drop him either. I know we saw Tavares put down by Bruno Silva recently, but I think Bruno hits harder than Weidman, and over 2.5 I think is a pretty good bet. And then in a parlay, I've got Tavares and Rodriguez both money lines minus 136 for 0.75 units.
I like it. We got Austin Hubbard, and Kurt Hollabaugh. I did not get too invested in this one, and they didn't have the lines out really for the underdog until later in the week, but I saw it, had to take it. Higher than 44.5 significant strikes for Austin Hubbard. I mean, come on. This guy goes to decision all the time. I mean, that's not asking much for higher than 44.5 significant strikes. Had to throw it in there. And I missed one here, but this is what it's paired up with. Plus 19.5 significant strikes for Amanda Lemos. So I got 3 underdog plays in the co-main event. But that one's basically like this fight's probably not going to last too long, or at least it's not favored to last, 3-4 rounds. So plus 19.5, I like it. And she will be throwing them hands. So that's what I got on that one. Nothing else in that one. So not too invested. What you got?
Yeah, I got Austin Hubbard by decision, like you said, and he goes to decision a lot. And against Hollabaugh, I think he's going to be the more technical fighter all the way around. He does a good job of even against Roosevelt Roberts, who's a really good striker. He does good making it look like he's winning these exchanges or just landing that extra shot. He's not real powerful. His grappling's not bad. He's just solid all the way around. And I think against a guy like Kurt Hollabaugh, he's going to be able to win at least 2 rounds here, and I just don't see him getting the finish, and I'm going to stick with him at plus 145 by decision for 0.75 units.
I like it. Cody Gibson, Brad Katona. Got the other Ultimate Fighter Championship. What you got on this one?
Cody Gibson, I'm taking him plus 145 on the money line for 1 unit. I like Katona. I just don't like his style. He gets a lot of decision victories. He just tries to hold on to you. Striking's not bad, but he's 4 or 5 inches shorter than Cody Gibson. He's also going to be like a 6 or 7 reach disadvantage. It's going to be hard to close that distance and implement his game plan. Cody Gibson's also does not like Brad Katona. He's fired up. He wants to get this win badly, and I think he can do so.
Yeah, I'm on the same side. Pretty much echo everything you just said. I got Gibson on the money line, plus 153 for a half unit. Granted, this is the Ultimate Fighter, and these guys have been in the UFC. I didn't want to go too hard on either of these fights. So I just got a half unit there for Cody Gibson. I think the finishing ability is worth a shot there at the plus money. Katona's never been finished, but he goes to decision all the time. Cody Gibson kind of got the better tools, I think, to even get a decision here. We've seen the judges been judging off of damage a lot. So he can pull it off there. I like it. Gerald Meerschaert and Andre Petrosky. What you got on that one?
Yeah, so I got a couple of plays on each guy here. Petrosky by KO or points by decision at minus 130 for 1.3 units. I think Gerald Meerschaert's downfall right now at this point in his career is these big power punchers, which Petrosky throws hard and he hits hard. If he can just overwhelm him in the first round, I think he could find the finish. And if not, Petrosky's a good wrestler. He has good top control. And I think GM3 is good enough on the ground, obviously, that he's not going to get submitted. So if Petrosky doesn't find that early KO, I think he can kind of control him enough to win at least 2 rounds. But I had to sprinkle Mearshart round 2 submission plus 1,600 and round 3 submission plus 2,100 for a tenth of a unit on the second round and zero point 0.2 units on the third round because he is that third round submission guy.
Yeah.
So I had to lay that just in case. Either way, I think we walk away with money here.
Mearshart's kind of that guy where he's like a Billy Q, where you always have to take him round 2 or round 3 KO.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Mearshart's like a round 2 or round 3 sub kind of guy. I didn't take it, but I do think Petrosky. I didn't take the Mearshart props, but I do think Petrosky gets it done in round 1 or 2. So I took him in round 1 by KO or sub plus 260 at 0.2 units, and then round 2 by KO or sub plus 450 at 0.2 units, because I do think he gets him out there early if he does get him out. If it goes to round 3, not really liking the gas tank for Petrosky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I got on that one. And then I also got the under 2.5 in the parlay, like I said earlier. And I got Petrosky in a parlay on the money line with Gregory Rodriguez and Natalia Silva at plus 154 for a half unit, which takes us into the next fight, Natalia Silva and Andrea Lee. In addition to that parlay for Natalia Silva, I got her by decision at plus 115 for a half unit. I think she does the better work throughout the fight. Andrea Lee has been very durable throughout her career. I look into this one like it's somewhat of a step up for Natalia Silva, but I do think she is good enough. I think she's better everywhere the fight goes. Andrea Lee is going to be a tough out. That's where it comes down to. So I do think it goes to a decision. I think Natalia Silva gets her hand raised there. At plus 115, you're getting plus money on a minus 350 favorite or somewhere around there by decision. I'll take it. Half unit there. But other than that, I got lower than 69.5 significant strikes as well for Natalia Silva. Pretty much based off of the way that Andrea Lee fights is in this one. I think she's going to be outmatched on the feet, so she goes for the takedowns. I think it could be a lot of grappling back and forth, or at least cage control time. Could be, the switching of positions on the cage. So I like the lower there than 69.5 significant strikes for Natalia Silva. That's all I got on that one. What you got?
Yeah. So I'm on the opposite side, just from a value standpoint. I'm taking Andrea Lee on the money line for a half unit. And I just want to point out, Andrea Lee and Pedro Munoz plays. I'm on both of those people, but it's only for 1.1 units combined. So it's not a lot of risk. If we can just get one to hit, we're in good shape. But Andrea Lee is a good grappler. She's a good wrestler. I think she's going to be a little bit better than Silva in this. I think it's a big jump up in competition for Silva right now. So I had to take the dog for that reason. And Andrea Lee also is a Golden Glove champion boxer. I mean, her striking's underrated as well. I think she beat Macy Barber. I think if she fights that way, she gives her a chance to win a decision against Silva here. So I sprinkled Andrea Lee decision plus 410 for 0.25 units too. So, yeah, we're taking a little chance on a dog here, but, I mean, sometimes you got to.
It's never the worst thing for women's MMA.
Right.
Especially if it's going to go to a decision. You never know. Marina Moroz, Karine Silva, the other Silva from Brazil. This one, I went in hard when the line came out, minus 135 for Karine Silva on the money line for 2.7 units. So we're getting 2 units back there. This was made right at the beginning of the week, I believe, or maybe a week before. I can't remember exactly, but got it out to y'all then. And I've seen a lot of people on Marina Moroz, which kind of makes me rethink what I'm taking here. It's women's chalk, but I got to stick to my gut. And my gut tells me that Karine Silva has the skills to take Marina Moroz in this one because Moroz hasn't been very active. I mean, she's very durable. She's never been finished, but I think Karine Silva has the capabilities to go out there and finish her. And it is a rematch. So, I mean, Karine Silva's got to get one back. I think she goes out there and does get the finish. So I got her there on the money line. And they also got the under 2.5 rounds at plus 110 for a unit because Queen Silva's kind of kill or be killed. So if she does get finished, we're still getting back a unit and some change there. That is all I got on that one. What you got on that?
Yeah, what I got on this one, basically the same as you. Carini Silva, -150, though 1.5 units. And I've got the under 2.5 rounds for 2 units. I do think someone gets finished. Moreau's finished Silva back in the day. I think Silva's the fighter who's progressed since then. I think Moreau's is outside of the UFC has kind of got other obligations and interested in other things, isn't in fighting all the way like Silva is. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be a barn burner from the beginning. I think it goes to the ground. Silva is going to show those polished off ground skills and find that finish, and we're going to cash a big bag right off the bat. So, yeah, man, Carini Silva and the under 2.5.
I like it. I just realized I think I might have skipped Gregory Rodriguez, Dennis Tululin.
Oh, yeah.
Did we talk about that one?
No.
Okay. We'll go over that one now. What you got on that one?
All I have is Rodriguez in the parlay with Tavares. I just think he's a better fighter. I think he gets this win over Tululin.
Yeah, I don't like Rodriguez at chalk that much, but I do think he just goes out there and either starches him or catches him with a sub. So I got him in the parlay, like I said, with Petrosky. So it's Gregory Rodriguez, Petrosky, Natalia Silva plus 154 for a half unit. And then I also got the under 1.5 for that fight compared with the over 1.5 for Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares plus 131 for a unit. That's all I got on that one. But I'm going to go over the underdog plays right now. So lower than a half knockouts for Whaley paired with plus 18.5 significant strikes for Neil Magny. That is 3x for a half unit. Lower than 64.5 significant strikes for Ian Gary paired with higher than 1.5 takedowns for Zhang Wei Li. That is 3x for a unit. And then higher than 39.5 significant strikes for Brad Tavares paired with lower than 69.5 significant strikes for Natalia Silva. That is 3x for a half unit. And the fourth one we got out, higher than 44.5 significant strikes for Austin Hubbard paired with plus 19.5 significant strikes for Amanda Lemos. That is 3x for a half unit. So we got 4 plays out. What is it? 2.5 units in total. Didn't go with the 5-leg banger, but we're rolling with 4 plays deep, so that is good enough for me. And let's cash some tickets tomorrow. What do you say?
Yep, I got one more parlay. It was at the bottom. I almost skipped. It's my sub prop special. I got Carini Silva submission, GM3 submission, and Zhang Wei Li submission, plus 8,700 tenth of a unit to win 8.7 units. So that's like my long shot parlay of the week. I got to do on every pay-per-view, and let's hope we get some submissions, and we'll cash 8 units in one play.
I like it. Make sure to bet responsibly tomorrow and don't get too high or too low. We got 12, 13 fights tomorrow. So yeah, 12. So there's a lot. It's going to be a long night. Don't get too down if you're down. Don't get too high if you're high, and stay the course. And let's cash some tickets, eh? UFC 292. Good luck, everyone. Thank you, Double A Premium members. You guys are the best. Peace.